I'm somewhat active on YouTube, but not just my own postings, but I also, go leave comments here and there, and on other people's channels and watch their videos. And every once in a while, some smartass will post a message to me that says the Bible is not real. Well, I've held it, in my hands. It's like, yeah, it seems to be real to me. But what they mean is that the Bible's full of crap. It was just made up. They say the Bible is just all fake. Well, what exactly are they saying? It's all fake. It's like their words are not fake. Um, so I wanted to address: is the Bible real? The Bible, there's, I forgot, 33 authors of the books of the Bible. It's just a collection of old writings. What's the problem? I'm saying that there's a lot in the Bible that you can find interesting and helpful, and some of it might make your eyebrow raise an eyebrow, like interesting. But to flat out say the Bible is fake and nobody should look at it, and to run around and pretend that you are smarter than everybody else because you're Western trained civilized man. you know um, it's really stupid to make blanket statements like that. Maybe there are some parts of the Bible that are questionable, but what's your reason? Look at it and raise your question. That's fine. But to say that the whole Bible is fake, it just annoys me because for the vast majority of those people, they're not that many, but they have never even cracked it open and read it anyway. What message does the Bible contain? The Bible contains many messages. Some messages are for the Jews. Some messages are about ancient history. Some messages are about feelings. Some messages are about prophecy and what will happen in the future. And so, we just read, we're going to get ready here to look at Acts chapter 13. It's a really beautiful chapter, lots of stuff here. But in the prior chapter, it said there was a famine during the reign of Claudius. That's just a throwaway line in chapter 12, that there was a famine that occurred during the reign of Claudius, the Caesar of Rome. Now, is that also fake and not to be believed and not to be considered? This is such a tripe attitude, a self-righteous attitude. Like, you expect the self-righteousness out of the free will Christians because they're out there proclaiming that they have done it. They've pleased God and they've repented of their sins and said the sinner's prayer and they're living a holy life, blah, 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 blah. But for these pretend atheists to come along and have a self-righteousness all their own, like, who are they? They can't find any treasure in this old book. You can find treasure in all old books, perhaps. You got to give them a chance. And so what's the big deal? I tell you, one of the big deals is that the Bible is the one unique book in historical literature and also in religious writings, the scriptures, that deals with the resurrection in a totally unique way. The resurrection of Christ unable to die again. And with this thought that he is unable to die again, it also changes everything. And the promise is that God will resurrect and abolish death and resurrect all of us so that we cannot have the old attitudes that we once had. Because most of our attitudes and behaviors in life are because we're mortal, we are dying, and it affects our whole perception, reality, our being. We feel bad because we ate some rotten pizza. Therefore, we treat people crappy. We feel insecure, so we gossip. All this stuff comes from our experience of being mortal and death and dying, right? So when these guys say the Bible's not real, it's made up, so what? The Wizard of Oz is not real either. It's a made-up story on film, but you can still learn something from it and enjoy it. You can learn plenty from the Bible and enjoy it. You don't have to believe that it's the holy Word of God and, unimpeachable, every little comma. Heck, the New Testament doesn't even have commas in the first century Greek language. They didn't have periods, so we're doing the best we can to figure out what's going on here. And I could make the argument that because of the Bible, we have computers. And my argument is that for all these hundreds of years, we have been arguing over the meanings of words. When we come to the Bible, we're trying to understand what these words mean. And because we got rather scientific about the meanings of words, we were able to make progress in our life in many areas, including mathematics and computer creation, because you can't create a computer unless you get definite and define the words that you're using to make progress. So just by arguing that the meaning about the meanings of words, we actually make progress in life altogether. Whether or not we're going to believe God and His Word concerning God's purpose and the resurrection of Christ and the fulfillment of prophecy, that's almost beside my point at the moment. I want to say that, some good things have come out of the Bible, whether you know it or not. History is filled with things that happen, whether you know it or not. And one thing affects another thing, affects another thing. And it's real easy and cheesy to blame the Bible for wars, because those are real visible, the wars of, like the Crusades and so forth. And it's not as easy to blame the Bible for peace. But can you make the argument that the Bible has resulted in many years of peace in civilization? You could, but you'd have to look for it. You'd have to think about things. You could blame the Bible. You could praise the Bible for its long-ranging achievements. Anyway, sorry, I'm not really getting to the Acts chapter 13, but I just wanted to say that it kind of pisses me off that certain self-righteous atheists or self-righteous agnostics out there belittle the Bible. They have no idea what it says. I admit there are some things in the Bible that seem contradictory, but you're not going to know what it says until you crack it open and start thinking and asking questions and reading it. Was there a famine during the reign of Claudius? I guess. Does it mean anything? It might. You won't even. Let me jump over here to this thought. I have on my bookshelf a book about George Washington, and it's not written about George Washington. It's just George Washington's daily ledger where he bought cheese and potatoes and what he paid for them and a saddle and what he paid for it. It's just a ledger of his financial accountings. Now, is that book true? Can we learn from it? Nobody's interested in it except me. I bought it and I thought it was interesting that on Wednesday he bought some molasses for 13 cents, a barrel of molasses for 13 cents. What does it mean? I don't know. It meant that's what it cost at the time. You could look at it as analyzing the economics of George Washington's day. Why did he enter this into the record? You could argue that maybe he was lying on some of his entries because he was trying to fool spies who were trying to figure out how much food he had. I mean, there's stories behind everything, and it's just not fair to dismiss the Bible because you're a moron. There's a lot of stuff in the Bible. There's Old Testament and New Testament. There's the gospel of the circumcision and the gospel of the uncircumcision. There's messages that are exclusively for the Jews and make absolutely no sense to us Gentiles. There's promises of future happiness for the entire universe. There's passages which seem to deal with the celestial beings, the beings that we have never even seen or met yet. It's a big book. And of course, you can use it to go in many directions. To dismiss it outright as being a useless book is silly. It's not a useless book. Has brought a lot of wonderful joy and peace to a lot of people throughout history. It's brought plenty of confusion and been used to create self-righteous pride in plenty of other people. Anyway, so I don't know where to go with the rest of this thought, except to say that if you want to understand it, my own personal recommendation is start with Paul's writing. Start with Romans and start reading there and underlining things, looking them up in the concordance if you want to get a clue as to the language they were using at the time and what it meant, the things they were dealing with at the time and how it influenced their thinking, whether or not these books were inspired by God. They certainly have been time tested. They've lasted all these years. What's the big deal? It's not worth throwing away. It's worth looking into. Okay. Sorry, I'll try to do better on our next talk. Grace to you.